What's up guys, Intellitech Studios here, and as of the day that I film this, it is Christmas Eve, or as I like to call it, Diet Christmas. And it is also a very special episode of Vacuum Saved. Instead of it just being any normal episode where I show you machines that I found recently, don't worry, that will be the next one. This one is episode 50, a milestone episode. 50 is a pretty impressive number in terms of any series, and I'm interested to go back and look and see how many vacuums have actually shown on this series, because now that I think about it, it's probably a lot. But today we're going to focus on the machines that I most enjoyed picking up from my various favorite brands. Now, obviously there's some machines, for example, the Hoover and the Eureka, where there's other machines that I could have easily put in its place, but we're going to go through all those machines and just talk about these briefly and run them and just kind of celebrate getting to episode 50. You know, a bit of a more chill, laid-back episode to end off the year on a high note. And hopefully hold you guys over until we get a more normal episode in January. So, of course, I've gotten the question a million times, what are your two favorite vacuums? And if only there was an obvious way to visually show what my two favorite brands are and what my favorite vacuum is from my two favorite brands. But anyways, so here we have the Phantom Fury and the Bissell Powerglide Ultra, and we're going to run these. So, yes, just for the sake of clarity, the Phantom Fury is my favorite Phantom and my favorite vacuum of all time, as is a tie with the Bissell Powerglide Ultra. And for both these machines, they have different SKUs and different variants. The Fury has the SC and the 10 amp and all that stuff. The Powerglide has the Powerglide Plus, the Ultra, and the Platinum. The Ultra is my favorite out of all of these because I prefer having the nice long stretch hose and a lot of the extra other features, but still having a normal base. I don't really like the wide path base. In fact, the narrow width of the Fury and the SIBO I actually particularly enjoy. Now this Fury is the one I've been using, so it's in pretty rough shape, but it was the easiest one for me to grab, so that's why I showed that. Obviously my NOS one, or my 10 amp that I resurrected, or any of the orange ones, would likely be a better candidate for my favorite Fury out of all the ones that I have. This was the easiest to grab, so we'll run this. And at some point I'll do a separate collection video of all my Phantoms, and I'll maybe do that for some other brands as well, but we'll see how that goes. If you guys like this video enough, and if you guys post in the comments that you want to see any individual brand collections, then let me know in the comments, and I'll happily do that whenever I have the motivation to pull them all downstairs and show them all at once. In the meantime, here's the Fury. Unfortunately, it doesn't sound the best. I need to open it up and clean it out again, but hey, it does still work, and it is very squeaky, and very googly, as you can tell. course, this is the first vacuum to be ran, so it's going to get some stuff. I actually did vacuum with this earlier today as well, so I did get a good amount of stuff, although I didn't vacuum all the parts. And since I know everyone loves seeing the filters on these, I did change this filter a few months back, as it still had its original one in there from when I got it, and that one wasn't even a replacement in itself as the original one. So here's the replacement filter I put in here. So yeah, I still have the original though. I ended up putting it in a different machine that didn't even come with the filter. But that's one of my new old stock replacements I put in. And of course, like all these filters, these little tabs broke off instantly. But other than that, pretty good. So yeah, that's the Phantom Fury. A very squeaky boy, indeed. Alright, on to the next one. I also did forget to mention on this machine that, much like with some of my other machines, whenever I got this, it didn't have any of the attachments, didn't have a cord hook that actually was busted. So I did put some attachments on it with the pegs, I did replace the hose, and I did replace the filter as well. And I did rebuild the brush roller with new bearings. So I have done some work to this in the time that I've had. I haven't just ran it all willy-nilly. And I have opened it up twice. Well, actually, no, just once. I've opened it up once to the motor and cleaned it out, although it is overdue for that again. But yeah, so it is in better shape than when I got it. But now, oh, hi, Rubes. But now the motor is in about the same state it was when I got it, because it's kind of worn itself back down a little bit from me using it like a fairly typical vacuum and not really, I mean, not abusing it obviously, but still using it normally and, you know, obviously sucking up fine dust in it and that sort of stuff. So it's definitely been beaten down pretty hard from usage over the last 23 years. This machine is from 2000, just like me. So that is the Fury. On to a machine that's 1 year younger than it, and also an equally favorite machine of mine. Next up, we've got the other half of my favorite vacuum. This is the Abyssal Power Glide Ultra. I was after one of these for a long time, and to my knowledge, there isn't one that exists on YouTube, at least not from a vacuum collector. There's one consumer out there that had one of these and upgraded to some other machine. I'm blanking on what it was, and their Power Glide Ultra was long gone by the time that any of us discovered it. So, as far as collectors go, I believe I'm still the only one with the Power Glide Ultra, other than, of course, the person's old archive video on this machine before he gave it to me. So, this machine is basically just an upgraded version of the Power Force that I hold very near and dear to my heart. It's still objectively a fantastic machine even to this day. The amount of value you get out of those machines really cannot be beat. A lot of people will make fun of Bissels and say that they're terrible, and they'll make fun of collectors who enjoy Bissell machines, but at the end of the day, they're wrong. I mean, you know, that's all there is to it. I mean, they have their drawbacks, of course, just like anything else, but for the price, you really can't beat these things. Especially because you can beat these things, and they will handle it just fine. But this particular example was beat down pretty hard. It's pretty scuffed up. The wheels are kind of dragging a little bit. I do need to find a way to lubricate these wheels so they move a little bit more smoothly. And of course, you know, it's got some miles on it. This one is a 2001 model. To my knowledge, it has its original brush roller in it, but it definitely has had other things replaced on it. I did put a set of attachments on it from my original Power Glide. Other than that, I haven't even torn it down to refurbish it yet, short of wiping it down with a cloth a couple months ago. And as you can see, that hasn't exactly held up. So, why is this my favorite vacuum? Well, it's lightweight, it's easy to maneuver, and unlike a lot of other machines in this design, this one has a nice long cord, has a nice long hose that can get up to 9 steps before needing a landing, and has a much better and more usable combo tool, at least in terms of the upholstery side, than the Power Forces. It also is just a slightly more nicely designed machine. Things like the bag door are a lot more easy to pop off, and a little bit less of a fight compared to the Power Force units. And you can tell the design is slightly, ever so slightly different. You do have 2 more height adjustment positions, but that doesn't really matter too much. But nevertheless, it's lightweight, it's easy to use, and it deep cleans very, very well when it has a good brush roll in it. One of the reasons why one of these is always in my rotation as a daily driver, and why I always recommend the modern equivalents of these machines, including the BGU 1451T and the SL4110A from Big Green and Sanitaire respectively. It's a brilliant machine, and we're going to give it a run. Even though this one is a little beat up, I did review this alongside the Fury. It is worth noting that because of the aforementioned issues with the wheels, this is quite difficult to push on the medium setting, whereas my Sanitaire just glides, despite it having mostly the same design. So if it seems like I'm struggling a little bit, that is why. But we'll run it for another 30 seconds or so. Oh, strange noises indeed. You totally did not just see any Easter eggs that are teasing upcoming videos. Anyways, so yeah, that's the Powerglide Ultra. Yeah, after I reviewed it and have used it for a bit, I do need to put a little bit of TLC into it. But still, one of my favorite machines. And while it's not the one I'm generally going to choose to daily drive, that's what the Sanitaire is for, this is still what represents my favorite Bissell's. It has the nicest sounding motor, it has the nicest design, and just overall is the most refined out of any of the machines with this specific body style that originally originated from Samsung. Next we have one of my favorite local Elite. In fact, this is, out of every local pickup, this is my favorite Elite that I've ever picked up. The Hoover Elite 350. I got this a couple years ago at this point, and fortunately, just like my Ricard Superlight, although thankfully not to the same extent, it is experiencing some sort of UV fading. I don't know if you can see how that little spot right there is whiter than the rest of the machine. So if anyone knows how to avoid UV fading, obviously I can reverse the process to an extent with peroxide and more UV light, but all my vacuums are stored in a temperature-controlled room with blackout curtains installed with the lights frequently off, so I'm not really sure why my machines are fading. Another reason why I like the Phantoms. They can't fade because they're already black. But anyways, I was debating on featuring this machine in this video or the Whisper Cyclonic, as the Whisper Cyclonic is one of the coolest Hoovers that I've got to experience recently, and I can't wait to review that one. But this one, given the fact that I have such a history with Elites, and the fact that my Elite 2 is in the closet, so it's kind of difficult to pull that out, I went with the Elite 350. Especially because out of all my direct air machines without tools, I'm going to pick this over any Auric any day. And this machine is great. I got it in such good condition, paid only $10 for it. You can see the tag is still on it. And for that price, I'm very happy with it. All I had to do was put a belt on it, which was quite the pain in the rear, but I was eventually able to get it. Still has the original bag in it. At some point I'm going to pull this apart and wash the insides, including the outer bag, but in the meantime it is perfectly serviceable. So let's hope this thing hasn't exploded from its time of sitting in storage, and give it a quick run. Now note, Elites are generally loud, although this is one of the quieter examples, so headphone warning in case the Fury didn't already blow out your eardrums already. always forget how nice this machine is. Now, as long as the machine is on the ground, because obviously when I lift it up, you can hear a lot of the air and the sound of the fan and all that stuff. But this specific Elite, I always forget how nice this machine is. It's effortless to push and pull. It agitates beautifully. It grooms beautifully. Now, look, I've said before that for daily driver use, for an actual machine you're going to buy brand new, that direct air machines generally don't make sense. But I understand the appeal when you have a really nice example of one like this. This thing grips itself to the carpet, and thankfully does look a little bit whiter on camera than it does in real life, so the fading thankfully isn't as pronounced. But you can definitely notice the headlight is a little beige-ish, we'll say. But this is a brilliant machine. I cannot wait to get HEPA bags for it, which I definitely will whenever I rebuild it. And I mean, it doesn't even really need rebuilt, honestly. It's got a little bit of a dusty smell, but if I throw a new bag in it, I'm sure that'll take care of that. I mean, obviously you saw the cord, you know, given this is an entry-level model, is quite a sore spot, because I can't even go, you see the ruby over there, I can't even go that far from where my outlet is. But, you know, they do make extension cords, so not a big deal. And this one is only 7 amps, so very comparable to what you'd find to an Auric, just a little bit more powerful and a little bit more power draw as a result. In fact, there are even some new machines out there like the Eureka Airspeed and the Bissell Powerforce Compact that are the exact same amperage as this machine. And this machine is better in every way, except the fact that there's obviously no tools. So, yeah. Again, the Hoover Whisper Cyclonic, I love that machine. I was considering featuring that machine instead, but I picked this one because it's the most lightweight of the two, and I'm glad I did. It's a brilliant machine, and it's definitely one of the pickups, the local pickups, that I've really enjoyed finding. If you can get your hands on one of these in good shape, out of any Elite you're going to find, if you can find one of these 7 amp ones in good shape with a good fan and a good motor, because that's the problem. So many of these Elites you find have worn out motors and they sound really bad. Just like my Blue Elite that I just got and a lot of my other ones. This one is brilliant. So yeah, Hoover Elite 350, absolute lovely machine. And let's move on to the next one. Alright, so next we have a machine that I acquired from my local vacuum store prior to its shutdown. This is the Eureka Xcaliber. Now, again, my favorite Eureka technically isn't this one, it's the Eureka Whirlwind Lightspeed. But I'm not able to feature that machine because, well, I need to get a filter for it. And that's the kind of machine where you can't really run it without a filter. So, I moved on to my second favorite machine, which is the Xcaliber. It's a very, very nice machine, although this one I don't use often at all because it feels very brittle, it creaks a lot, and I'm really worried I'm going to damage it at some point should I use it. But nevertheless, it's a nice machine, and we're going to give it a run. So this machine, for some reason it smells like pepperonis, but it obviously is not in the best shape in the world. I mean, you know, my local shop for a while was selling it for $48, although I'm pretty sure I got it on sale. And this particular machine, I don't know if it's just mine. This is the only one I've ever had, so maybe it's a fluke with this machine, but it has the worst suction of any cleaner machine. It's even worse than the Fury, and the Fury is kind of known for having lousy suction. Ruby, down. She's trying to hop over the couches, and I don't want her to step on my phone. Hey, sausage. But anyways, don't argue with me. But anyways, so this machine, it's got that classic old dusty smell. This still has the bag in it that I had got whenever I got it. I haven't done any work to this machine, but it's definitely a really nice machine for sure. It's got its quirks, and it is one of those machines where, even though it's very sturdy in general, the plastic just feels very hollow and very brittle. So I don't want to use it because I'm worried I'm going to somehow break it. So, yeah, but I did, whenever I got it, I did get some more attachments for it, so it is complete now, and it's still a nice machine. It grooms really well. It's nice and quiet, although the brush roll motor does kind of sound like a lawnmower, or at least the brush roll itself does, so I need to investigate that at some point. But much like you saw with the Victories and the Whirlwinds, even though it doesn't technically have the backsaver handle, this machine, despite it being not necessarily a lightweight machine in general, is very nicely weighted, and it's very, very easy to use. Even more so than the Whirlwind Lightspeed. So, hi Rika. So it's definitely a machine that is quite nice to use, even if in general it's known to have some issues. Ma'am, I'm doing a video. Rika, I'm doing a video. You can't lay on me. I'm literally working. Ma'am. Ma'am. Oh, okay, fine. I can sit here for a bit. Cat. Rika. Rika. Hi, Rika. I think the question at this point is, do we show the Dyson next or the Cibo next? Heads is the Cibo. Alright. That settles it. Alright, now for my favorite Cibo, the Cibo G1. My favorite SIBO. Why is it my favorite SIBO? Well, it's just the best one. Like, yes, there's no swivel neck. Yes, there's no fancy automatic adjustment, but that's what I like about it. It's simple. There's no height adjustment mechanism to worry about braking, which does happen with these sometimes. It doesn't have the same usability issues that the Dart and the Felix have, especially the Dart, because using the tools on this, the machine's not nearly as top heavy, so you don't have to worry about it falling over and being very just sloppy when you're using it with the tools, because the Dart and the Felix will rock back and forth all the time because there's just one little joint where the entire machine's connected at. And the Dart and the Felix are much heavier in the hand than the G1 is, and even the X series. And again, between the G and the X series, the G series is going to be more reliable and more simple because you just have a basic height adjustment. You have no automatic. You don't have to worry about it. Now, we do love the X7, obviously, but this thing just feels more substantial to me, just because it doesn't have the glossy plastic that I'm constantly worried about scratching. And this thing is also an absolute tank. And it doesn't have the same level of brush roll rattle as the X series, although it is still present. It also cleans the best out of every SIBO. So this machine, I love the turquoise color on it. I'm so happy I found this machine on eBay, which, yeah, not a local find. I'm not going to find any SIBOs or Milas locally, but there is that. So out of all the SIBOs, if I had to keep one, this is the one I'd keep. Especially because I could fetch a pretty penny for the X7 if I really wanted to sell it. So yeah, this is my favorite SIBO, and I have come to appreciate it a little bit more, even though when I first initially got it, the novelty did kind of wear off pretty quickly. But now after using it again, I think I'm going to start using it again because it's a brilliantly built machine. It's an excellent performer. It's super quiet, and it's just a very, very impressive piece of engineering. So I love the Bissell's, but this essentially is like a Power Force just on steroids, and I love that about it. So, brilliant machine, and finally we'll move on to the Dyson. And finally we have my favorites out of all the legacy Dysons. Now, obviously, the modern Dysons are better than these, if we're being honest with ourselves, but the DC14 is incredibly nostalgic. And unlike the DC07, it's actually a quite nice machine to use. So it's obviously my choice. Again, I very easily could have put the DC07 carpet in this video instead of the 14 full access, but I decided to go with the 14 instead, despite the fact the 7 is the more interesting of the two. This color scheme I've been wanting for a long time. I love this color, and the DC14 has the best color schemes available out of any Dyson. I'm still on the hunt for a DC14 full kit and a DC14 complete. And there's even a couple other SKUs that I wouldn't mind getting, because really all the colors are nice. And this is definitely the kind of machine where you can't have just one. They're like chips. But anyways, this particular one is an unbranded version of the Full Access. It might be one of the versions that they sold unbranded at Nebraska Furniture Mart, because I believe it's the only other place they sold this color scheme besides Best Buy. And those ones did say full access. So we've got the purple, like the very bluish purple, but it's technically a purple, but it can look blue in some lighting. And we have it with the orange and silver accents. It's quite a nice looking machine, and it's one that we're going to give a run to. I believe this is one that the previous seller had put a good clutch in it, so I don't remember off the top of my head, but we'll give it a run for sure. Yes. Well, maybe. In usual legacy Dyson fashion, at least in terms of the 7s and the 14s, this machine does not register as a good carpet cleaner. I mean, not even close. Now, this one, the clutch belts have worn out a little bit. You can see that it does slow down whenever I press on the top of the base. Well, you couldn't see it, but if you were here in person, you'd feel it. So this thing definitely is not a machine you pick when you're looking for great carpet cleaning. Not even close. It's not even like on the same realm as other machines. Every single other machine that I featured today spanks this in terms of carpet cleaning performance. But if you know Dysons, you know that already. And this machine's striving achievement is in terms of its usability. This thing is absolutely effortless to push and pull on carpets, despite its relatively heavy 20-pound or 18-pound weight. It is perfectly balanced. It's a brilliant machine in terms of usability. It's effortless to use, and the tools on this are fantastic. Compared to the newer Dysons, we have a full set of attachments, and this particular machine would have come with a turbo tool and a floor tool and all that other stuff. And there's different SKUs that came with Zorb and Dissolve and other cleaning products that do aid in this machine's cleaning ability to make it a little bit more palatable. And this color scheme in general, but also the 14 in general, is probably one of the most successful Dyson models to ever exist. Much like the DC07, it lasted a really long time, and even though technically the 07 lasted a bit longer, this machine fixed all the issues with the DC07 minus the carpet cleaning performance. But the usability, the weird awkwardness with the reversible wand, the loudness as a result of the strange Cyclone design, and also the serviceability of the Cyclone pack took a huge upgrade on the 14. This is the machine I think of whenever I think of Dyson. Technically, the all floors of the animal model of the 14 is what I think of. But when I think Dyson, I think the DC14. That's the model that pops in my head. So it's very, very iconic for that reason. And when they're properly rebuilt, and they have good clutches in them and new filters and good seals and all that, they're capable of performing decently as long as you have a very low pile carpet, and they are capable of filtering very well for a bagless machine. These are some of the first sealed systems that existed on the market. Of course, these days, with the HEPA filter seals being a little goofy, that can kind of complicate things. And I will admit, I am terrified to replace that HEPA filter because these purple filter doors are not available anymore. And you do have to pry them off pretty awkwardly to get to the HEPA filter. But this machine is still very nice, and if someone told me I had to get rid of all my other legacy Dysons and keep one, well, I should clarify. If they said to get rid of all your DC14s except for one, this is the one I'd keep. Obviously for the 07, that one would extend to the carpet model, but the 14, you just can't go wrong with this color scheme. Although, it's not the practical choice these days because the purple plastic can get brittle when exposed to UV, but the gray plastic can as well. So, that's pretty much that. This is the conclusion to my Christmas Eve vacuum saved episode 50 special. And before I stop this video, I want to say something very important, which is I really do appreciate everyone who watches these videos. A lot of people, for some reason, will leave comments saying, hey, I'm sorry I missed this video, or hey, I'm sorry I missed this live stream. Guys, you are not obligated to watch any of my content. And the fact that you do is greatly appreciated. I really do appreciate it. And I also want to say something that's also very important, which is it's Christmas time. A lot of people, let's be honest, economically are struggling right now. So if you aren't able to provide the gifts that you want to provide to your family, don't beat yourself up over it. Everyone is struggling these days, and what's important is that you made it through another year. If all you did this year was survive, be thankful. I'm very proud of you, and I'm happy that you're still here. So, don't beat yourself up. Try to have a good Christmas. If you're like me, you might... Ruby, you are ruining the moment. This is supposed to be a somber moment, and you're ruining it with your tail slappage. Of all the times that you could be aggressive with that tail, you choose to do it right now. Anyways, so, yes, shake, shake, shake. So anyways, if all you did this Christmas was survive another year, just know that I'm proud of you. And I want everyone who watches this video to have a good Christmas, or whatever holiday you celebrate. I'm supportive of, obviously, every holiday. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Kwanzaa. If you don't celebrate any holidays, well then I hope you just have a fantastic rest of your December. And of course, New Year's is coming up as well, so that's something to look forward to as well. Let's hope that we can all collectively kick the ass of 2024, and let's hope that this year, or that next year, well, 2024, let's hope, is much better than 2023. Then again, we do say that every year, but hey, it's good to maintain positivity. So, if you enjoyed this video or enjoy anything else about really any of these machines, then be sure to comment below. And let's get some positivity going into the new year for everybody. Not just me, not just you, but everybody else. I hope everybody has a wonderful Christmas, or whatever equivalent holiday they celebrate, or lack thereof. And I hope the rest of this year is full of no stress, no worry, no burden. Hopefully we can relax and end this year right. So anyways, this is Intellitech Studios signing out. Let me know your favorite machine that you saw in this video today, and of the machines that I haven't reviewed yet, like the DC14, the Excalibur, the G1, and the Elite, of those machines, which ones would you like to see get the review treatment next? There are many other videos I have planned, and I'm gonna try to come out swinging for 2024. And let's hope that we can get the channel up even higher. Let's hope we can get even more subscribers, even more views, and hopefully have a great 2024. That's the goal, at least. So, I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you all have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your year. Have a good one. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays from Intellitech Studios. Peace. And Ruby says hello. Ruby, do you want to say goodbye to the people? Ooh, big stretch. Who's a good girl? Who's a good girl? Who's a good girl? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You want a treat? Oh. Alright, sit. No. No, not do a spin. Sit. Okay, well, you did sit, so there you go. Okay. Alright. Now, do a spin. Alright. Oh, you missed it. Okay, okay. Now, spin around the Dyson. No, no, around the Dyson. No. Come on, come around the Dyson. There you go. There you go. Oh, you still didn't catch that one. She's much better at catching the bigger treats, not so much the smaller ones. Is that better? Is that better? Is that better? Are you happy now? Rubes. Rubes. Rubers. 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 Are you happy now? Are you happy now?